Not sure. Are we live yet? Okay, now we are. At least Google says that. So, do you hear me? Before we start, I want to get a couple of yeses. I have two of my friends. One of them is my best man, and a couple of people from Croatia online. So, guys, can you just write "da" if you hear me? And for all of you who are not from Croatia, you can say yes if you hear me, of course. Until I get a couple of yeses, we cannot continue because we want to make sure that you hear me and hear Chrissy loud and clear so that we can proceed with the workshop. Chrissy, can you say something?
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, I hear you, so we should be okay.
And Ivan, just so you know, there's a delay before you get a response, so they might be responding right away. So.
Okay, yes. Oh, stupid me, the chat box was not enabled. Okay, we have a couple of yeses, we can start. So basically, guys, let me introduce. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you know me because you're on my list or you're in some of my Facebook groups. I'm just a normal punk kid from Croatia that's kind of cracked the code and made it online. So the girl that we have on the other side of the monitor is a nice lady from Reading. Am I right, Chrissy?
Yeah, Redding, California, United States.
Reading, California. And she helped me a lot 2.5 years ago when I first started. I kind of branched into this solid thing, how to build lists, and I was unsure. I was getting ready to pay a huge sum of money to my coach, and I was not ready for that decision. And she kind of helped me to go with the decision to invest that kind of money. And she's one of the reasons why I'm here, kind of because she helped me. And in these 2.5 years, Chrissy became a master in mindset because when she joined the coach, that coach is Igor Kafetz, she was on the verge of Chrissy. How do I say it? You were kind of not in bed. You were not in great situations. You had a lot of problems, and your mindset, reading, and like keeping a good attitude, positive attitude, kept you going, and you made it, right? So Chrissy, if you can introduce, I just gave you a short introduction with Chrissy because I don't know a lot about the situation, but I've heard some things, and Chrissy will continue from here.
Well, yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Ivan, for inviting me today. That was, really, it's a privilege to be here, so I appreciate that. And just what you can see on your screen here, I just wanted to kind of give you a little overview. That's up there. You see my husband. This last year in the latter half of 2013, I purchased a new FJ Cruiser for my husband. He's pretty happy. And we took that to you can see the beach. We went to the beach there, and so I bought two new cars. I got a Toyota Camry, a hybrid, and then I got him the Cruiser. And this is sort of, I put that other picture there because this is what I see every day. For me, everybody has something different that they like, that they look forward to and want to do with their life. But this is what I like to do. I actually devote 4 hours, right around between 3 and 4 hours every day to just myself in enjoying scenery like that. I go walking and I work out and do things to help because I have some physical chronic issues that I have to take care of. So it all is possible because of, you can see a PayPal account there, that's like at the beginning of the month. It's because of the internet. It's because of what I've been able to do online, and it started back in 2012, and I just I still, I'm getting used to it. I can say I'm getting used to it, but it's it truly is an amazing transformation from where I was in 2010, 2011 to where I am today. So I'm not sure if you just want me to go ahead, if you have any other questions you wanted to ask, or if you want me to just go right ahead into the presentation, or how you wanted me to proceed there, Ivan.
Well, nobody's asking anything as far as I can see.
Okay.
So why don't you just proceed? And whenever, guys, before we proceed, actually, if you have any sort of questions regarding mindset and whatever Chris is gonna say, if you wanna stop her, just raise your hand, put a question inside the chat box. I'll stop Chris for a second, and we'll do our best to answer the question. If I can help you, I'll try to answer you in the private chat. But if you wanna ask Chris particularly, just say a word, and we'll ask her. I hope
Okay.
that's clear, Chris. You can proceed.
Yeah. So the webinar today, what we're talking about is how to attract wealth and happiness to your life. And I think that's an important word, attract, because a lot of us, without knowing it, we actually repel it. And so if we learn what it is that we need to do to attract wealth and happiness, it's your life is going to make such a transformation that you're just going to be oh my goodness, I don't even know if there's words to express it. I just, when it comes to being happy, I can tell you, throughout this webinar, everything that I've done and everything that I'm going to show you today is exactly what has helped me to become, I mean, every day, without the, like some major event or traumatic experiences in general, I'm extremely happy, and I'm not just happy, I'm very, very, very happy person. So, and it's because of understanding all about mindset, and it is easy. It's easy if you get that sleeping giant to do all the heavy lifting, and it's amazing that sleeping giant is actually in your own head, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to show you how you can turn on this incredibly powerful thing, which is your brain, that you have in your brain that will attract money, and it will attract everything that you need in order to be content in your life. Plus, I'm going to share with you where you can find the most inspiring videos, the most inspiring audios for free that will produce seemingly miraculous results. And I know this from personal experience on myself, but I also know this from personal experience in watching other people around me repeat the process and have the same experiences themselves. So before I really get into the presentation, I thought I would just talk a little bit and share a little bit about me so you understand who I am. Before changing my own mindset, I had been through a bankruptcy. I had my car repossessed during the night. That was really freaky. I actually walked outside to go to an appointment or something, and there was no car there. And then it dawned on me, oh yeah, I haven't made my payments, so they took my car. I had to rely on government assistance, which here in the United States is like food stamps. So we would get it's like paper money, food stamps to help us to put food on our table when my son was still at home as well. I had to rely on friends and family to also help put food on the table, help us pay our rent, and provide transportation. There was a time when we didn't even have a car. So, those are some pretty drastic things that went on and over time in my life that made things pretty difficult. But since right around 2000, it was 2011 that I started to work on my mindset. I had to, and it just kind of happened. I have a friend, and she does something called it's mind repatterning. It's part of that. It's all about mindset. And because of that, I started to rebuild from scratch my online business. At the time, if any of you on the call today or watching the video, if you remember back in 2011, 2011 was the year that Google crushed SEO, search engine optimization. It totally changed everything. And I was a search engine optimization specialist, so that's what I made my money on. And I actually knew that it was coming. I saw it coming. That was part of the the things that I was undergoing stress, because I knew I was not going to be able to do it anymore. And anyway, so I knew I had to change. Something had to change. And so that's why I say from scratch, because that went down the toilet. I couldn't do SEO anymore. So I started from scratch. And from March of 2012, I went from 0 in my business to earning over the past couple years just short of $450,000. It looks like $450, but it's actually $450,000 in a little over
So you're just
2
missing
years.
like 3 zeros behind it.
Yeah.
No, nothing big, not a big deal.
Yeah, not such a little bit of a mistake there, but
Yeah.
yeah, just it's kind of funny. So I'm really, when people think about me, I'm considered one of the most caring. They talk about me as being somebody who's very caring, and it's true, because I've been on the brink of non-existence. I mean, I just didn't want to be here anymore. So I know what it feels like to be in such desperation that you can't think, you can't sleep, you can't eat. I know those feelings, and so I care very deeply about people, and I care about their success. And I remember the phone call that I had with you, Ivan. I remember your worry, your stress, and the way you felt. And so it makes me feel good to know that when somebody like you comes to me, or I'm sure that you do the same, that you can reassure them that things are going to be okay. And over the past couple years, what's happened for me is I've become an in-demand, behind-the-scenes list building coaching instructor. I actually help students for Igor Kefets, for even pretty soon here for you, Ivan, and Anthony Tilley. I don't know how many people are familiar with him, but Anthony Tilley has had many students coached by my material. And as you can see, Justin Tillman and Jason Benoit, who's a software king. He just makes some awesome software out there. So, it's behind the scenes, because I'm not really out there presenting myself, not until I have my program coming out here real soon. I'm sort of in the background. But all of these 6- and 7-figure coaches, they invite me to come, and I do video trainings and webinar trainings and all kinds of things. And it all started with changing my personal mindset. And I just wanted to make a point of saying that it's more than just a story. It's a fact. And these books right here, these you mentioned in your little announcement there, you talked about how I talked to you about books. And these are really good books. The Genie in Your Genes, it helps you to see the science, because they did, where they hook people up with their heads, they put like plugs and things on their head. And to give you an idea, there's this test that they do, and so they hook up these little electrodes to your brain, and you're looking at a monitor, and there's no mouse, there's no joystick, you're just looking at the monitor. And so what people can do with their mind is they look at a little rocket ship, and they look at the target, and they can actually, with their mind, start to move the rocket ship and to go to the target. And it's weird, because you think, well, how do they do that? Because subconsciously, our mind that controls our heart pumping, when you're walking and you're not even thinking about you don't focus on every step that you put in front of you. We don't think about all the different things that go on in our bodies, but our subconscious mind that's in charge of all these things does. And so I bring out this book because it helps you comprehend in a much better way than I can explain it, but just how powerful our subconscious mind is. And so that's an excellent book because they can visually measure negative and positive energy. It's a pretty cool thing. Then there's another book that I read that I really like a lot, and that's called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck. And that one talks about the growth mindset, and it talks about something called the fixed mindset. And when you have a growth mindset, meaning that you can actually go beyond the thinking that nothing can change, that you think that you can change anything. So the growth mindset of untalented and unskilled people help them win by far, by just a margin, like a huge margin over people who are actually talented, or win over people that have like these huge great IQs. They're like 150 or something IQs, and it has to do with mindset. Your mindset. If you have a growth mindset, you can go way beyond. You can learn how to become even more skilled and more talented and more successful than people who seemingly have everything going for them, and that includes born into privilege. And then the next book that I really like is called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And this has some fantastic stories in here. It's on page, I believe it's page 52. I have not read this book from cover to cover, but I've listened to it via audio quite a bit, probably a little more than halfway through. And I want to just briefly mention this one little story that you should look for. And it starts on page 52. And it's about a man who, because of his mindset, he had this mindset that when he had a son, and his son was born without the ability to hear. He didn't have eardrums. And he did not want his son to grow up without the ability to hear. Now, it's kind of hard to explain. That's why you really need to read it. But he had the mindset that his son would hear. And so it's a matter of how he talked to his son, how he taught his son, how he helped his son never think that he couldn't do anything, that he couldn't hear. And so gradually, when his son became, I believe he was a teenager, what happened is his son learned how to actually hear through the bones in his skull. So he heard through his bones. It's just it's an amazing story. And I've also recently read things like this other book, this last one, Brain Rules by John Medina. And it just enhances what in the Think and Grow Rich book. And I was reading about a woman or a man, I can't remember the gender, but it was a somebody, let's just say it was a woman, that was a concert pianist, and she, through some disease that destroyed the part of her brain that could read, she lost her ability to read music, and then she lost her ability to read, but what she could still do was write, because our brain, it's in sections. And so what happened was she would look at the words, and she would actually take her fingers and physically she would trace over the words, and then she would use her tongue on the roof of her mouth and actually write the words on the roof of her mouth, and that connected from her visual to her ability to read. However that works in your brain, she started developing a different section of her brain to read through her tongue. So, there's just understanding how your brain works. It deepens our belief in amazing things that we can accomplish without genetics, without some kind of financial gain or physical talents that we have inherited or that we're born into. It really helps us to comprehend mindset. Mindset is the most important thing that you can master that will help you become successful, and it will help you become content. It will attract everything that you need in order to, that attraction, attract money and attract happiness. It's an incredible thing. So, facts out of fiction. It's important to understand all of these things that, because some of the stuff that I'm going to tell you in the future, it sounds really kind of fiction. We used to think that the world was, was thought to be flat, right? And space is what showed mankind the truth. It showed us that, the Earth is actually a sphere. And you may not, some of you may know this, but others don't. So, all the way up until, I'm not even sure what century it was that we learned, it was whenever they took the boats and they traveled around the world, and, Columbus, discovered, but I think it was before then, they discovered that, you wouldn't fall off the Earth, that it wasn't flat. But, we knew this for years and years and years ago, back in biblical times. It was written in the Bible that the Earth stood upon nothing and that it's a sphere. But nobody believed it until way, 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 centuries, or I don't even know, what do you call thousands of years later, right? And then I was thinking about, Star Trek's Captain Kirk, the cell phone. If you've ever watched Star Trek, if you haven't, you've missed out. But if you've watched the original Star Trek series, Captain Kirk has this tiny little, what looks like a cell phone, and he flips it open, and he talks into it, and it talks, the people communicate through this device. Now, back in the 60s, we barely had the telephone. That's pretty much how we communicated. It was through the telephone. And yet today, we have exactly, only even better.
Chrisi.
Yeah.
Chrisi.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Hello? What happened? Are you there? Ivan? What happened? I'm here.
Okay, what's going on, Chrisi?
You can't hear me?
Okay, you're here, but I don't hear you. Do you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, you hear. I'm not. You hear me, but I don't hear you. And my headphones are okay. Are you
How about
saying
others?
something?
Yeah, I'm talking.
When did I lose you? Right about when you said that Captain Kirk is flipping the phone and talking to the people. Then you broke up.
Okay. So what about now? You still can't hear me?
But I lost you.
Demir, you can hear me?
Okay. Okay, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Yo, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so you hear me fine now?
Yes, it's okay right now. I'm sorry for this, guys. Can you just... Okay, let's continue. Guys, sorry.
Okay. All right. So, okay, so you can hear me now, Ivan. I just want to make sure. You hear me now? Is this where the problem is? Maybe with the PowerPoint?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay, so I was talking about Star Trek.
No, it's okay. Maybe something in the settings. I don't know, maybe something.
Should I continue?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Go ahead,
okay.
Please.
Okay, so I was talking about Star Trek, and what it's, if you were to watch, imagine somebody, let's just say imagine somebody back in 1900, right? And that was barely when they even had a phone, But imagine if somebody had seen a cell phone back then. I mean, it would seem crazy. So when, really it's just a matter of educating ourselves. Educate yourself to understand what's going on in the brain, in the mind. So what appears to be magic, or what appears to be crazy, or ridiculous, you can really understand that it's reality. And I say that because myself, when I was a kid, I had a really hard time understanding abstract ideas. And, what happened to me when it comes to the changing of my mindset, I went by pure faith. I just did it because it was either do that or die. And so I had no choice. I went ahead and I started to just retrain my mind by my friend. Her name is Penny. She's become my friend who helped me with that, repatterning and my mindset. So why is this important to you? And why is it important to you now? It's because you can't fix what you're not aware is broken. So if you really don't know what's causing you to repel success, if you don't understand what's causing you to be unhappy, you can't fix it. You can't make a change. So the faster that you understand what mindset is, the faster that you can gain you can gain an I wrote this down right. So the faster you can access what you want in life, it will happen or gain access to what you want in life. And then in order to stop the cycle that's keeping you from success, you have to learn where the switch is to keep that cycle from running so that you can turn it off. And the most important point, of becoming a successful marketer is mindset. But why do we resist it? Why do we, it's like if I was to go to the Warrior Forum and I was to create an entire series, which, I've thought about for the past year and a half on mindset, it probably would not sell that well because most people, they just want to get to the blueprint, right? They think it's all about secrets. They think that, you have to know, okay, well, tell me what the secret is to get Google to rank my website real high, or tell me what the secret is to get people to, buy my product.
I'll tell you. I can tell you.
Go ahead.
Hard work and busting your ass off.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
So,
but
yeah.
But before we get to that point, we have to, that's true. But before we get there, we have to realize that actually hard work and struggle is a fun thing, and it's a good thing, and it's something that it's just like a muscle. It makes us stronger, and it's a very powerful thing. I'm not really sure why, but right now I'm getting feedback. Ivan, I don't know if everybody else is getting feedback, but it just started happening, as I'm talking.
Okay. No, it's okay. What do you mean, feedback from whom?
From me, I can hear myself echoing as I'm talking.
I hear myself normally. I can hear you. Oh, maybe because my microphone is not muted. So when you start talking again about the presentation, I'll just mute myself back again. So don't worry, it'll be okay.
Okay. So, I don't know about, I'm 53, so some of these things, came when I was a kid, but I remember hearing this whole thing about the power of positive thinking. And, if you're in pain, if you're in emotional pain, if you're in physical pain, whatever kind of pain you're in, and somebody gives you this, line, oh, it's the power of positive thinking. You're thinking, dude, try living in my shoes for a while. You think it's so easy. Just try living in my shoes for a while. And so, that just didn't make any sense to me, and it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. And then other people, when, you're unhappy and you're miserable, they say, hey, it's all in your head. And you're thinking, I'm not crazy. I feel these things, I'm not just saying that I'm in pain. I really am in pain. I actually had a doctor tell me that. It was his secretary. Actually, the doctor was really kind, but the secretary drove me nuts because she didn't want to believe that I had the kind of pain that I had. And then somebody might, who's really talented or very smart, you look at them and you think, well, it's easy for you because you're more talented than me. You're smarter than I am. And you've already have everything that you need to be successful. But what we don't realize is that, we have everything we need inside our own minds to access what we are going to need to become successful. And just because we can't see it and we can't touch it, because we can't touch what's inside our heads, we can't touch a thought, we think it might not be real. But that's not the case. Just like we talked about earlier, Star Trek, just because they couldn't see it back in the 60s didn't mean it wasn't possible. Just it took technology. So then the next thing I wanted to share was that, there are people who were told that they weren't talented or successful, and they became very successful. In fact, if any of you, some of you know or familiar with the famous actress, she's died years ago, Lucille Ball. She was massively successful, but she was told she had no talent to be an actress. They told her there's no way you will ever be a successful actress, and yet we all know she's one of the most famous women actresses of all time. And then, of course, everybody knows Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan, didn't start when he was a kid, but actually in high school. High school, that's right before college and before, men get into the in the NBA, because a teenager, right? So he was cut from the high school basketball team. And, why would he be cut? Did you want to say something, Ivan?
No, I'm just listening to you.
Okay, well, turn your mic off. Okay. So, yeah, Michael Jordan. So he's incredibly famous, but it was his mindset. There was no way he was going to let that go. He wanted it bad. And imagine Albert Einstein. He did not even start talking until he was 4 years old. And he was told that he wouldn't amount to much. And yet, look at who Albert Einstein is. And then, of course, Oprah Winfrey. Imagine Oprah Winfrey. She's one of the most influential women of our time. And she was demoted from her job as an anchor woman because they said she wasn't fit for television. Now, Oprah Winfrey is not only responsible for herself in being successful, but she has launched many other people's successful careers, Dr. Oz being one of those people. So what I want to share with you right now is the mindset formula, and so that you can get to the point where you can start attracting success. And it starts with inside your head. It starts with something I like to call cleaning house. So you can't find anything in a messy or a cluttered or a smelly room. Right? In order to have the motivation to move in a positive direction, you have to get rid of what's buried under negative thoughts, negative memories, feelings, negative smells, all this stuff. It's negative energy, and you have to get rid of it. So what you need to do is start replacing it. So one thing that you want to do is, and you should write this stuff down because it's really important and it's going to help you so much. If you could write down 3 positive events in your life that generate positive emotions for you, you'll be able to save those, and I'm going to share with you what you want to do with them in a little bit. So maybe it's you remember like the day you got married or when your child was born, or maybe it's a fun vacation. Some of the most positive experiences that I've had, and they can change over the years, but you really do need something that you can remember, because when you're having a bad day or when you're having a bad thought, that's not the time that it's easy for you to access these things. So if you write them down, it's going to make it easier for you to access them later when you need it. For me, I remember, things like, I remember the first time somebody hugged me and it really meant something to me, because when I was a child, you couldn't hug me. You know, I was so closed off that I didn't know what to do with a hug. You know, and that's a pretty sad thing, but it comes from, you know, how I grew up as a child. So I remember that. I remember the first time somebody hugged me, and it felt really good. And I remember when my son was born, and I remember just last year, I remember I had such a great time when I took I think it was a total of 17 people. I paid for everything. You know, my only rule on that vacation was that they did all the cooking and the cleaning. That was the thing. You know, and I had a blast. So these are really good, you know, things that need to come in your head. So 3 events in your life that generate positive emotions. 5 things in your life that you're proud of. Think about, was there a time when you were afraid but you showed courage? You did something, you went against the fear, and you showed courage when that, you know, you were afraid. I remember when I was in 7th grade, and some boys were picking on a child who had disability. You know, back when I was a kid, you know, they were not tolerant. They were not as intolerant of that kind of thing like they are today. They're a little bit better today. And I remember watching this boy, another boy, step in. It was about 4 other kids, and he stepped in and he stopped it. I remember that day because it was from that day on that I decided to be like him. And so I started paying attention and stepping in when I saw kids get bullied. So, you know, I'm proud of that, and it helped me to see that from somebody else. What about helping a friend in trouble? Maybe, you know, when I was doing, I tell you, I have friends who they gave us our lunch and dinners for about a month, you know, and so today, you know, now that I'm in a position to do it, if I can, and there's somebody in trouble, I like to help them out. You know, a time when you've kept a promise and it took a lot for you to do that, or maybe you've put someone's needs before your own. I put these things down because sometimes when you're talking to somebody who's depressed, they just can't seem to think of anything that they've done. But you have done many things in your life that you can be proud of. You might have to dig because, you know, like it says up there, I mean, they're probably buried under all these other things where you've put yourself down. So you got to find them. So dig them out and write 5 things down in your life that you're proud of. And then, you know, if you can think of some emotionally exciting movies that you've enjoyed, I really love that movie, The Help. I think that's a great movie. That's more of a drama. I like The Princess Bride. It cracks me up. I do one-liners from Princess Bride all the time. I love that movie, The Blind Side, and Avatar, I think, is a great visual. So those are just, you know, some positive things. And then, you know, books. If you've read some really good books, inspiring books, maybe historical, fun, fiction, nonfiction, all these things are going to help you. And the shredder is going to help you do the clean house part. So here's what I started doing about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Every time I had a bad thought come into my head, I would visually shred that thought. It's a literally this picture in my head. I have a picture of a shredder, and I used to have nightmares of when my brother was. I was somewhere between 3 and 5. I'm not sure. I just remember the house that we lived in, and my father beat him, and I saw that, and I've had nightmares for years over that. So I started to shred that. And I don't have nightmares of that anymore. So, you know, whenever a bad thought comes into my head, and sometimes I actually, even things on TV, I'm sensitive to gory stuff. And so if I see an image that I don't like, it becomes like a little printed picture, and then I shred it. If I have a thought in my head that is negative about me, I start to shred it. And so then what I would do is I would replace that with something positive. So if it's, you know, like with my brother, those bad thoughts of my brother, I would replace that. I remember another time when I was a child, and I remember throwing my my diapers at my brother and my sister. And so, you know, it cracks me up when I think about it, because I remember being in the crib doing this stuff. And so I replace a bad thought about what happened to my brother with something positive. And the same thing with, you know, anything. If I start getting down on myself or something, I would replace it. I'd shred the down thought and replace it with something positive. Now, if you have all those things written down, it makes it easy for you to look at it. And if you have a cell phone, you have a little note. I forget, Evernote, something. You know, so you can write this stuff down and you can access it on your phone, so you can quickly look at it. Shred your bad thoughts. Shred your bad memories. Shred it as many times as you need to, so your brain stops looping those things in your head, because we have this ability in our minds to replay videos of bad memories, videos and audios of bad thoughts. I can't do it. It won't happen. I'm always going to be broke. All those things, forget it. Shred them. This works really, really well. I have not had that nightmare of my brother for over a year. So this works really, really well. The shredder, it's a wonderful thing. And the next thing you can do is affirmations. Now, some people might call them something else, but affirmations, basically, what you're going to do is you're going to train your brain to walk the path that you want, not in the path that it's created on its own. So think about, from your childhood, all the memories, all the thoughts. Think of it like a house, okay? And you have a lot of different doors in your house. You have years as you grew up. You have all kinds of it's so full. Your brain is so full of different memories and things in your house, but it's very cluttered. It's a big mess. And so your brain is lazy, and it just wants to think what it wants to think. So it will walk into your house and it will just look down, and there it sees, oh, okay, I'm looking at this time when you know, my dad did something, you know, like screamed or yelled at me, or when I remember in second grade when my teacher held up my D grade in front of the entire class, you know, because it's just sitting there, it's out in the open, and you got piles, it's a big mess. That's not what you want. You don't want your brain to just do the lazy thing and find whatever's just lying around. That's why we have the shredder, right? Because we're going to shred all that crap. And what we're going to do is we're going to make our brain think about the things that we want it to think about. So clearing the clutter and shredding what hurts us is going to help our brain understand that we're no longer going to tolerate that type of thinking. And if you think about a wild stallion, you know, a very powerful wild stallion, if you're going to use this stallion, you have to tame it. It's going to take some work, and then you have to train it. It doesn't happen overnight. Okay? So what we tell our minds, our subconscious actually cannot tell the difference between fact and fiction. So if every day, if we're talking to our friends, if we're talking to ourselves, if we're, you know, wherever we are, we're thinking, and we say things like, oh, I can't remember that. Or if we say, I'm in pain, if we say, I don't feel good, whatever, if we say these negative things, that's what our subconscious mind thinks we are. It thinks that's how everything is. It's what we want. But if we tell our minds, you know, positive things, hang on one second, whoops. If we instead, every time you feel bad, you say the opposite. You say, I am happy, I am relaxed, it is going to make a difference. In 2011, I had so much pain in my mind. It was awful. And when my friend Penny, she gave me 2 pages of affirmations. Things like, I am excited about the future. I am calm. I am joyful. Different things like this. I am successful. And I would read those things. And I remember my husband would force me, you know, as much as he could, he would force me to go out and walk. And I remember as we were walking, I would repeat over and over in my mind the different things I remember reading on those affirmations, like I am relaxed, I am happy, I'm not in pain, I feel good. I would say these things, and I was the opposite of all of that. But I said them because she told me to do it. Okay? And if you think about a scale of 1 to 10, and let's say 1 is, let's say 0 is where you're happy and you're relaxed and you're calm, okay? And 10 is where you're suicidal. Okay, that's just the bottom line. That's where you're at. Okay, I was a 10. And as I did this, over time, over a few months' time, it just went from that 10 and it dropped to a 6. It kind of skipped. It dropped to a 6 and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now, of course, I'm on the opposite side. I'm plus 10. I am very happy. You know, I've gone from the extreme negative to very happy. But you know what? One of my affirmations that I say is I don't say I'm happy anymore. Now I say I am very happy. I use the term very now. I don't remember using it back then, but now I focus really hard on, you know, even beyond. It's extreme. I want to be extremely happy, you know. I want to be extremely successful, but I don't say want. I'll tell you why in just a second. We'll get to that. So, you know, what we tell our minds, what it believes to be true, whatever we tell it, okay? And it's going to struggle to make true what we tell it. So if we're constantly focusing on our pain or constantly focusing on the negative emotions and feelings, that's where it's going to go. But if you shred those things and you replace those things with positive things like, I am very happy, I enjoy, you know, my friends, I love to walk, you know, that's something that I have something called fibromyalgia, and even now standing still it's really painful for me. After about 2-3 minutes it starts hurting. But I knew in order to conquer the pain that I was feeling that I would have to walk, and I was very afraid to walk, so because it hurt so much. So what I did is I took a little a stopwatch, and I set that stopwatch for 2 minutes, and so I walked forward 2 minutes, and then I came back 2 minutes, because I knew I could last for 2 minutes and 2, so 4. I knew I could last for at least 5 minutes walking. And so, you know, I had to really focus on, I had to focus on the outcome of that, because I'm telling you that what your brain believes to true, it will struggle to make it true. But it was really difficult for me because I knew I had to walk for 5 minutes. If I was going to walk for 5 minutes, it would be in pain. But I also knew the outcome would mean that I would gradually be in less pain. Hopefully this is making sense to you. So sometimes we have to do things, we kind of have to struggle to do things that we know are a struggle to start with, but eventually they have a really good positive outcome. And you are going to, it's a bit of a struggle to teach our brains to do what we want. But our brains control our physical energy, and our physical energy controls things such as our stress levels, our immunity system, our willpower, motivation, strength, our ability to change and grow and progress. All of these things, they all stem right in our heads, right inside our brain. So it's really important for us we have to lie to our brains. So in order for me to, to do things, I had to just tell myself, I love walking. I love, so many things that I had to do to make myself do it. Even just getting on my computer, it was very difficult for me to get on my computer for a long time. So I would say, I am successful. I am happy. I am relaxed. I didn't say I will be or I'm gonna be. It was always I am. It's in the present. I know. I know what to do next. I know exactly what I need. I have. I always have a plan. Whoops. I always have a plan. I am, I know, I have. And there was a time, this has actually happened to me several times in my business, and the one time I remember, it was like that moment where you're like, wow! I was just like really amazed at how well this works, because when you practice, if you practice this over time, you're going to get better and better and better at it, because your brain, it's like a muscle, and it's going to become stronger, and you're going to be able to do an incredible, amazing things. And it was March, or maybe, I can't remember, it was sometime in the beginning of last year, and I felt stuck. I just felt like my business was, on shaky grounds. And it's sometimes you have gut feelings on what you should do, but you can't really sort it out. They're just sort of there, and you just can't quite figure it out. So I started saying, I have a plan. And I started saying, I know what to do. I always know what to do. I am always able to come up with a plan. And I started saying that. It took 3 days. And on the third day, the answer came to me. It was so clear. It was like somebody smacked me upside the head, and it was like, Eureka! Just like, wow! That one answer put $5,000. That one answer put immediately $5,000 in my pocket. Every month. Every month. That one decision that I made changed my business around and added an additional $5,000 to my bank account. So when you start thinking about different things that you want to do, you want to be, you want to have, make it so that it's already happened. Because like I said, your brain doesn't understand lies. Everything you tell it thinks is the truth. So if you are always telling it that you're happy, it's going to access your positive emotions. It's going to shred, because you're learning how to do this, it's going to shred the negative emotions. I have such a strong, my brain, it's trained so well that even, sometimes I do podcasts and things, and even as I'm talking to you on this webinar, if there was any time when if I say, I used to think I was destined to be poor, do you know, immediately inside my head, that is overridden, because my brain rejects it, and it starts saying, I am successful. It does not like to hear these things. I don't tolerate that kind of thing in my head anymore, and it's like it's automatic. It's funny because you talk about subliminal, and in the beginning you have to focus on this and you really have to work on it, but eventually it becomes like second nature to you. Just like it was second nature for you to stumble and fall and fail, success is going to become second nature to you. I can't even tell you. I have so much opportunity. It's you become a magnet for success. And remember earlier where I told you about Anthony Tilley Igor and Jason Benoit and Justin Tillman and all these different people. I can tell you that that all happened because of some of the affirmations that I have been saying for the past 6 months to 9 months. When I realized what I wanted to do and accomplish, I am accomplishing exactly what I want to do. And so you think about all those other things that I mentioned about Star Trek and all these things. They may seem, crazy, but when you read those books and you educate yourself, you're going to understand just how this really is not science fiction. It's totally within your power to make these changes. So, you tell your brain what you want. Now, you can't just leave it at that. You can't just tell it what you want. You need to map it out. Okay, so now you understand all the things that you can replace. You need to map out all those positive emotions and positive thoughts and remember all those great things, right? So that you have a replacement for when you shred all the bad things. You need something there. And you need to realize what is it you really want. You need to understand what you want before you can really create a blueprint for it, right? And then you have to steer yourself into that stream, that path that is going to help you get there. So I can tell you all these things, okay? I can share with you what I've done, but you need to position yourself to where you're going to be, in that path. So make sure that you put yourself in a position where you're reading books that will help bring that answer to you. If I never want to, I tell myself I never get stuck. I always know what to do and I always have a plan. Well, I'm reading books. I read books. I have all those books that I showed you. I have more books. I listen to Anthony Robbins because he's got great inspirational things. Sometimes things hit me when I'm watching a regular, just a fun movie. I was reading a book. What's that thing called? They just made it a movie. It's a terrible job making it a movie. Ender's Game. That book did great things for me because I was kind of experiencing some of the stuff that Ender was experiencing when it comes to responsibility, and that book actually helped me a lot. So, sometimes it comes from a friend, sometimes it comes from a song, so, sometimes it comes from a book. Just make sure that the things that you're listening to, they're positive things. If you're listening to a song that's, depressing, that's not going to help you a whole lot. It's going to steer you in the wrong direction. I'm not saying you can't ever listen to, a song that might be, talk about somebody's life where they struggled or something. But you need to put yourself in a position where your brain has something to work with. Steer yourself into that path where you can read the right books and be around the right people. Watch inspiring videos, listen to inspiring stories, educate yourself in the science so that you can grasp the power of the tool that's inside your head. And so, part of that has to do with following success, being in the footsteps in the right direction, following the right people. Follow people that are successful, as well as those who care about you. People who actually care about you. People that have proven themselves to be successful long term in the area that you want to be successful. For instance, there are some Facebook groups. And I remember one student one time said that, I forget, she's like over 100 Facebook groups. And I thought, my goodness, how could you get anything out of that? Start eliminating the groups where, I know that there are some people who create Facebook groups. And they create these groups, and all they do is run through these, like, they have automated posts. They're just quotes, and they're just, it's just really full of something that was really easy for them. They don't really give anything of themselves to you. So, get rid of those. Dump them. You wanna be where you're working with somebody. It's a give and take thing. Yes, we are all here and we are all online, and I am online to make money, and Ivan's online to make money, and so are you. But I still care about you. Ivan cares about you. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done this. Put together. He's put a lot of energy into finding the right people, successful people, to help you with your mindset. And mindset is the most important thing. So, if you have some Facebook groups, what are you learning? And what is their motivation? So get and connect with the ones that are really going to help you. These groups where it's inspiring quotes and it's all about them. I put me because it's like, oh, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. Well, if it's what they're doing but it's not helping you, get rid of it. I have a Facebook group and I've been sharing people. It's kind of like a case study, and I'm showing them what I'm doing to help my fitness instructor, who's like, she's just an awesome person, and she's kind of broke, and I'm helping her. But in showing you guys, or in showing them what I'm doing, it's helping you understand what you can do as well. So when I say it's all about the me thing, it's in such a way like, oh, hey, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but it's not helping you do the same thing. Follow successful people that are willing to help you. So if you're going to learn how to make $5,000 a month or 10 or whatever it is you want to do, you want to follow someone who's been there and done that, or is currently doing it many times, not just 1 month, month after month after month, that they continue to be successful. And if you want to be happy, follow someone who is happy. Put yourself with people who are happy. I have my friends that I have, they are happy, and they're happy to be around me. And I do have some friends who are not happy people, and I do my best to help them, but I avoid them if they're not willing to pick themselves up and to get out of that space. And I'm not, if I am there, if they are really in a bad situation, believe me, I am there. But you can only help somebody to a certain point. You can throw somebody the life raft, right? But if they don't hold on to it, if they don't take and get it, if you jump in after them, they could drown you too. So you don't want to do that, Now in the beginning, I talked about where the most inspiring videos and audios are. They're inside your own head. So number one, you clean house, you remove and you shred the past. You can shred anything that comes up in the present, and you can shred the harmful thoughts, memories, everything that comes in your head. Shred it if it's negative. And you replace all those bad things that you're shredding with positive thoughts, positive visual and audios that just loop around in your brain. I have a PDF guide that Ivan's going to share with you, and there are 2 podcasts that I've created on there. One is called Fire Your Inner Critic, and the other one's called Future You. And it's so important that you understand, to get rid of these negative things. They will take you you will be amazed at what this can do for you. You will become so much happier. Money is a wonderful thing. When you have money, what it does is it removes the barriers that may block you from doing what you want. But money doesn't make you happy. It's kind of a confusing thing, because I've been married for 32 years, and I've had the most wonderful, phenomenal relationship in my marriage, and I was broke most of that time up until the last couple of years, right? So money didn't make or break my marriage. It's not what made it happy. But today, at least it doesn't prevent me and my husband from doing the things that we want that make us, you know, allow us to enjoy our relationship even more, okay? Or like with my friends, you know, I can take my friends out. We just went a couple weeks ago. I took my friends out on a boat, and you know, we just rented a ski boat for the day and had a blast, right? So it doesn't prevent you from doing some really cool things, but it's not what makes you happy. All these other things, if you clean house and you replace, those are really going to help you be happy. So, and then affirmations. Affirmations are going to help your brain stop walking in the path that it has grown accustomed to. It's grown accustomed to doing what it wants, and you know, all that garbage. It's just been wallowing in garbage. So, you know, it hasn't had a purpose. So you can, you know, use your affirmations to give your brain purposeful direction, so it can begin walking in the direction that will produce the outcome you desire, which of course is to become successful and happy. And reading books, watching videos, listening to books that will educate you on the reality of how powerful the mindset truly is. Those are the things that you can get into, and that this is where you're going to find those. You know, I said they were free because it really is in your head. All these things can be done inside your own head. Okay, so that's it. So that's it for this particular, you know, mindset training. And like I said, I have a nice PDF for you guys. It's just simple. It just has the books and I'll give you a couple links to these podcasts that I have in there as well.
Okay, and this, guys, for everyone that is watching this, if you're watching in some kind of page, the video will be the PDF will be included below this video. However, if you're watching it inside My Income Revolution back office, it will be also included below the video in the under Let's Roll My Income Revolution part of the training. I hope you love it, and if you have any questions, please, now is the best time to ask Chrisi.
Yeah, well, I just want to say thanks again, Ivan, for inviting me today. I really appreciate it. You know, it's changed my life. I have I enjoy every day pretty much, you know, and I wish the best for everybody listening to this, and I hope that, you know, it helps them and makes great changes for them, and they can see that great success and feel that happiness, because it's a pretty awesome thing.
Yeah, I believe you. I know how it feels. Diamond, a nice. I'm glad it was. I'm glad it was. If there, Diamond is saying, Chrisi, I'm not sure. Do you see this in the chat? He says that this was very inspiring. So glad that I'm happy that you inspired someone. It was inspiring for me as well. I know a lot of this stuff, but there are a couple of new things that I've learned as well that I'll try to implement as soon as possible, starting right now. So that's kind of cool. Saying myself, I'm successful, shredding bad thoughts, and all that good things I was not doing before. Willie, PDF link will be included inside My Income Revolution back office. It will not be included right now. It will be included in the back office. So you got to be part of My Income Revolution in the community that Chrisi will be holding webinars more than once per month, right, Chrisi?
Yep. We'll start that.
Yeah. Well, guys, Chrisi, we do not see any. I'm not getting any questions from people. They're just saying that they love it. So, guys, thank you very much for attending this webinar. It was a pleasure hosting it for you. Chrisi, thank you very much for coming here, for holding this webinar for my people, for my subscribers and the members of my groups on Facebook. And I'm looking forward to many future joint ventures together.
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to it too. So we'll talk later.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you very much. I'll stop the recording right now. The replay will be available for the limited time. I'm taking around 24 to 48 hours, then we'll put it down and put it inside our back offices. One more time, thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye, Chrisi. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.